What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Black Desert video. So today we are going to be doing our April window shopping episode. If you don't know what that is, every month I look at the Central Market and talk about the notable and trending items, as well as seeing what has gone up and down, maybe what items might be worth enhancing, whether you're a newer player or not. And so, yeah, whether you're on the NA server or any other one, you guys can see what items are going up and down. That's always interesting to look at. So with that said, we are getting Olvia Academy like season 2 or something starting next week. So who knows what those rewards are going to be. If they give any more Black Star materials, that's going to tank it even further, but we don't know yet until the patch notes hit, next week. So anyway, with that said, we're just going to look at it as of right now, and then we'll talk about it going forward. So a couple weeks ago, they removed the Goddard weapons. Basically, that was the purple Black Stars that, gave incremental upgrades, but that was so outdated, they just removed it, which I think is a good thing. So anyway, let's see. Main hand weapons. I didn't know the main hand Black Stars went that low, to be honest. I thought they were still like 7-8 billion, not like tanking lower than 4 soon. That's kind of crazy. So yeah, Black Stars used to be one source of like a way to makes fail stacks, pushing upward 300s, maybe like 350 and close to 400 at a time. But nowadays it's very scary to push 400 stacks on Black Stars, because if it goes, you barely even make you don't make profit, but you don't make anything in general. It's probably better to just slam Reblath and hope for the best if you're going from like 300 to 400 in that rate. But yeah, it's pretty scary. I hope they come out with a new item that will give more fail stacks in general. I know they're adding the one thing coming out next week, which is from the Altar of Blood, and the thing that you could push your 300 to a 350 stack. That's nice, but it really doesn't help out endgame players, because, people like me, the way I build fail stacks, like the 496 and the 460, 450, is literally failing Sovereigns, getting +1. It doesn't feel great. So I'm just hoping that, making 400 stacks going forward is a lot easier. Yeah, so Awakening weapons are like 2 billion more than the main hand. It still isn't really worth enhancing for profit, but it's a little bit higher than the others. Sub-weapons are still over 10, which hasn't really changed much like over the past month or so. It's still it looks like it goes up and down, but it's realistically kind of the same. So if you're enhancing for profit, well, it's not really profit anymore, but the one you want to go for is the offhand, and that's probably what is going to help you out, make your tets, sell it, hope for the best. All right, so as we get later into the game, Fallen God armors kind of fall off a little bit, just because, everyone is pushing Adania stuff. But with that said, it's still something that we should have to talk about, because people are at the point of going from Tri to Tet Fallen God, and that one is still something that I talk about every month until Prolibus actually does something about it. So the reason why Tri to Tet is so expensive or hard to get is because the pity system is 50 fails for Silent to Wailing, and that could potentially cost over 200 billion. That's a lot for a mid-game player. That's a lot for an end-game player as well, not gonna lie. But anyway, so the suggestion I have always given Prolibus is, all these numbers, the Agris, the pity system, cut these numbers in half, make the the drop rate for those silent thingies that end-game players grind. Let me show you all of these things. Distorted, silence, make these have a higher drop rate in general, because it's so weird that these drop at high-end spots, but the people who can grind these spots, they don't really need it, right? You already have Tet and you already have Adana gear, so it's like they should put those items in the spots where mid-game players, people who actually need it, you know, put it at Darkseekers or Zekia, Tungrad, and like Ulakita region areas. That would be a lot better for just the game in general. But to talk about it, if you are going to self-enhance it, I just use like 80 to 100 from base, 120 to 150 to duo, 150 to 200 for try, and 250 and up for Tet. Is that really worth it? Not really what you should probably do. The best outcome, like the safest way to get it, is saving up 200 billion and just buying it. But I understand saving up 200 billion is not exactly the easiest thing to do. It's kind of like telling a new player, just like, here, grind for 100 or so hours so you can save up for one piece of gear, and then it's not even the best in slot, you have to exchange it, then you need like 3 or 4 of them. So it's one of those things where this thing really needs to change for people in the mid game going into end game, to actually, you know, make huge gains and start moving up into the end game. It's annoying, but it is what it is. So it's my monthly rant. Let's talk about some monos gear, or like just life skilling gear in general. So as we all know, bartering is getting buffed next week as well. So basically they're adding like tier 6 and tier 7 trade routes and new stuff. So I expect monos clothes to probably go up a little bit, and people are going to try sailing. Obviously blue battlefield is still popular as usual, so sailors clothes has always been good. Monos hunting clothes, they added new Adania hunting spots, so I've seen more people actually do it. Cooking is still probably one of the most profitable life skills, so that one just doesn't change. I would recommend everyone to at least get a Tet if you are, even if you're a casual cook life skiller, because you do Imperial delivery every day and that adds to your profits. And also, like, even, you know, just casual cooking will speed things up significantly. So even if you don't have pen, that's fine. A Tet is good enough. Fishing is fishing. You should probably get a pen whenever you get it, because that's just free money and it will pay itself off eventually. Gathering, always good. And then training. I always think like training has never really been bad, but it's never top silver. So it's one of those things you kind of have to enjoy doing to see the profits come in. And yeah, so eventually we'll do another update video on that one. But until then, life skill gear is, those are the life skills that I think are like popular right now, just because they're getting buffs and everything. So you might want to keep that in mind. Accessories. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Prion, and we're also going to be talking about Deboreka. I realistically don't think anything is changing. Recently, in the past week or two, they have buffed Deboreka drop rates at all the endgame spots, which in theory means that the bases are going to go down, but it kind of looks the same, to be honest, as past month or past like year, to be honest. So yeah, the order you should be going for accessories is the necklace first, because that gives the most AP. Whether you're doing the Karazad exchange, like from Pen or Nov and exchanging for a Karazad, or, you know, self-enhancing it, the one you should always go for first is necklace, followed by either the belt or the rings. I would say whichever one is cheaper if you plan on buying it, which is what we're talking about. So like around 150. I think they're both the same as well, but let me just double check that. Yeah, they're both kind of roughly the same, and like give or take a few billion silver, but it really just depends. There's nothing particularly different about them. You get them all eventually. And then earrings are always the one you get last because they give you the least amount of stats for the value, which surprisingly, you know, it looks like the same, but it's actually a little bit higher. So yeah, earrings always last, and then that's about it. You just either grind for it or self-enhance it and hope for the best. All right, pre-own. I don't think anything really changed as well. Here's my advice for you. If you are like not trying to get best in slot, but you're trying to get like I would say soft cap in a way, where you're trying to get the life XP effect maximum, it's at hex, because you see how here it gives 10%, and then when like pen to hex is 10 to 12%, right? And then from here to here, it's still 12. Like hex to deck is still 12. So I think most people will probably get hex and stop, and then the people who are like full-on life skillers are the ones that are going for full-on deck. But you know, I think hex is a good stopping point for a majority of players, and you're good to go from there. So my advice to all of you when it comes to pre-owned gear, just buy it. Like straight up, I know someone has to make it to sell it, but you don't want to be that person, because chances are it's going to cost you more to make it than it really, you know, you can just buy it. So that kind of goes the same as the Fallen God, but it feels worse with pre-owned just because it doesn't have it has a flat enhance rate versus the other one where you could just kind of overstack it in a way. But yeah, those are the accessories that I wanted to talk about. All of you processors out, or like people who do processing, there's that one thing. What was it? Which belt was the weight belt? Yeah, this one. If you can somehow get yourself the golden coral belt, this one is plus 600 weight. A lot of people, it's not really worth it, but if you are literally just all you do is processing, this one is still worth it, in my opinion. It's worth a little bit of XP trade-off to be able to process a little bit more. Okay, what has been changing here? So, yeah, Kabuas is always a hot item because, like, it goes. I remember when this was down to like 5 billion, and then people enjoyed PvE again, and then it goes to 10 billion. So, yeah, some of the spots that drop them are now worth a lot more just because these are max price. Dekia ones from the endgame spots, these have always been 10 mil. I don't think I've ever seen it drop below there. But yeah, these are more for PvP. The Kabuas are for PvE. Let me give you a tip right now for all of you who are like, oh, do I have to get 10 or so of these? The Kabuas, that's expensive. Okay, so look at this. So for example, let's say you have multiple sets that require the same things. Like for example, this one requires double predations, but this one also requires double predations. You can stack the same effect one. Like you still need 3 total, but instead of 4, which saves you a lot of silver, you can always just put this here and then use the same one, and then it'll count it as 2 different ones. So like when you equip it, you see how it like grays out that one. It's just a small thing, just in case people didn't know that you can like overlap it, but you can't use the same thing, obviously. So yeah, they work. You could use different ones, but you just have to swap out of it completely. So they don't do that. So either way, you still need to buy a lot of them. You just don't need to buy that one extra one, which is always nice. All right, so next things we are talking about. We currently have Guild League going on, which is 10v10 PvP. So as you may imagine, there are, you know, Immortals are at an all-time high. So one thing that is always going to be extremely expensive is the Immortal Harmonies of human damage. Let me see if I can find that. Yeah, these things. You do profit off of this if you're just buying the materials, but it's not a lot of profit. It's just slight profit. But assuming you're making it, it's like what, maybe 10 mil, which is not really a lot. But in case you're trying to fill those orders, it is a little bit. Anyway, keep that in mind. It only is probably going to be for another like week or two because we have Guild League, and then people probably start selling them again. And we have a Red Battlefield event going on right now. Food. Let's talk about this one for a second. All these morning light things, they got buffed in the recent patch, and you know how they had a cap of like 200 mil a couple weeks ago? They go up to 1 billion now, and I assume in the next week or two, a lot of these are going to be maxed out. So like the red tier ones are probably going up to 1 billion. The yellow ones are already maxed out at like 500, I believe, or getting close to maxed out. So yeah, when they do hit max, that's something you probably want to think about. And yeah, so if you're looking for any of these things, for all of you PvEers and grinders, these are still probably worth it depending on where you're grinding. 100% item drop rate is very nice, +5 monster AP, maybe put you up into a new grind spot tier. So yeah, I would say no matter what price this is, like if the cap is 1 billion, I think they're still worth it in my opinion. But that means you are grinding in an end game area where you can make that 1 billion back. But if not, then just, you know, the item drop rate is, you have to actually lock in with 3 hours of grind though. You can't just like pop the buff for 1 hour and then, or like 3 hours and then you only grind 1 hour. That's like losing money. You have to do all 3. Okay, so let me see what else. Mem frags are at an all-time low just because gamble boxes keep being a thing, and so they just keep giving mem frags, and it is what it is. That's not on the community. Well, it is, but it's on Pearl Abyss the most. All right, so what are we talking about now? They added that one purple one, which, this is so dumb, I'm not gonna lie. We do not have a problem, at least here on NA, we don't have a problem with people making 300 stacks. They added another item that sells, that does the exact same thing as essences, or like the Origin of Dark Hungers, the Faint Origins. All 3 items do the same thing, one just does them faster, which, yeah. I still think that Pearl Abyss should have buffed this item to make it go up to a 400 stack, whereas the Origins go up to 300. That would be a lot nicer. But anyway, Essence of Dawn, now might be a good time to get it, simply because they added adventure journals. So these things right here for the morning bosses, and so if you do them again, like all your 10s, you get a rank 1 bundle, which gives you a bunch of the Essence of Dawn and everything. So at least for the next like week or 2 or so, maybe a couple weeks, Essence of Dawn is going to be a little bit lower. So if you need them, now is probably a good time to buy them. But if you're selling them, just keep that in mind. I think we talked about everything over here. All of these are still the same for the most part. Reforged stones are actually sitting on the market now. So if you're a newer player or moving into the end game and you just got your sovereign weapons, I talked about this in another video, like which ones you should get. But just TLDR for all of you, back attack is very popular. Black Spirit Rage is very good. Crit hit rate, depending on more succession classes needed than Awakening, always good. All AP, every class uses it. And then, you know, crit damage is always a nice one. But it really just depends what you're doing. PvE versus PvP, you could adjust those accordingly. Life tools, right now I don't think anything changed, so they're kind of just like stable at whatever price they're at right now. But whenever they introduce the item that like comes out with the new treasure item that allows you to teleport to your house and get furniture buffs again, life skilling is going to be, or gathering in particular, is going to be like maxed out for a while. So if you don't have your life tools, I'd start recommending to get it now more than later, because the life skill item like is only obtained through gathering through all 6 of the various, things, drops a different piece, and when you get all 6 of them, you're going to get the treasure item. So one of those things you might want to start looking into a little bit earlier. And once they talked about it at the Calpheon Ball, so that's not like a rumor it's coming out, it's just when is it coming out. Alchemy stones, this is always fun to talk about because every week that passes, alchemy stone prices go down because we get more clicks. Some people hit that 0.4% and we get a shining. Every week someone gets a splendid, and the hardest part is still getting to Vel's Heart, believe it or not. So this is the bottleneck for a majority of players. But you can get literally, I still think it's probably easier to get a shining than a Vel's Heart from a direct drop, which is kind of wild. It's 2026 and Vel's Heart has been out for quite a while now. So yeah, Pearl Abyss, if you're watching it, just Vel's Heart, make it more common for newer to mid-game players and people who are returning. Maybe increase the drop rate from the actual boss, maybe increase the maximum from 16.5, make it like 30 billion, and I guarantee you people will get it. That Night Vendor event definitely helped a little bit, but that's not a permanent solution. Right now, getting to Vel's Heart, I would value this at like 50 billion. So I guarantee you, if this was maxed out there, people would still buy it. But if you have more silver and you've had a Vel's Heart just, on order for the past 2 years, just get that splendid and start using it until then. So one of those things that in 1 year from now, ideally everyone has a shining, assuming you're keeping up with the weekly taps. So yeah, in 1 year from now, maybe a little bit less, everyone should have the shining by guarantee, and then people obviously get it by RNG earlier. And then I thought one sold for 5 trillion. I was about to freak out. Life skill, still pretty high. If you were to get one, always destruction first. Life skillers, if all you do is life skill, I would probably value this at around 2 trillion, to be honest. You raise the bar a little bit higher than the minimum pity because this is going to make you a lot more silver. And so the shining right now, it's just going to keep going down every week because someone hits it and you just hope it's you every week. So yeah, that's always fun to watch. Alchemy stones are just every week they go down. Ships are going to go up, or well, not go up, but they're going to continue staying at max price for a while, simply because Blue Battlefield and then bartering is going to be a thing, or they're improving bartering to the point where the advanced is going to be the best in slot for PvE. If you're doing Blue Battlefield, Valor is still the best. Volante is also a very solid one. Just literally get anything but the balance and you'll be okay. Yeah, that's about it. Furniture stuff, we always talk about this every week. If you are trying to actually min-max and save silver, instead of buying these Blessing of Mystic Beasts, what you want to do is go to decoration, sort by all of this, buy these stuffed lion heads. They both do the same thing, but you get more value out of this one and it's cheaper in the long run. So that's what you can do. When you're buying the blessings, it's the convenient tax. So keep that in mind. Is it really a lot? I mean, it adds up if you're using 5 of them a day, every day for a year, when you could just be doing something different. So, I mean, on a day-to-day, minus 200 mil, no, not really a lot. But if you multiply that by every day for a year, that's billions of silver you could have literally spent on anything else. So that's the option. It's just convenient tax if you're already at your grind spot. Whenever they come out with the treasure item for gathering, this problem will literally solve itself. But until then, I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. We'll see what happens with the future prices for Black Stars coming in next week. But I think until then, everything is pretty accurate from what I've talked about. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We talked about like the current events in BDO, upcoming guides for new players, returning players, and people who are looking to get better at the game, and as well just trying out all the new stuff they come out, end game, and so on. So yeah, I'd like to make videos of that, and I would love to see you come back. See you tomorrow. Peace.